Okay, let's get started. I'm going to attempt to build a fast API server using GitHub Spec Kit. Now, what is Spec Kit? You can go to github.com and go to GitHub Spec Kit, and you can read all about it. It's essentially an AI first development method, spec driven development. So definitely check it out. And then it gives you the instructions here on how to get started. So we'll do that. And then if you want some more information, you can check out this Up and Running with GitHub. It kind of explains what it is and the first steps. Also, Dan Dilimarsky is one of the creators, and he's made a series of videos that you can also watch. The only guide you'll need is probably where you should start. He does a pretty detailed intro. So, what I'm trying to build is something like this. Just very basic, fast API project. We're gonna have one or maybe two endpoints and a model, and we're not gonna connect to any database or any other data source at this point. It's just gonna be very simple, and we're going to sprint towards a Swagger file. So let me grab a terminal here, and you can install Spec Kit on your machine and then use it to build multiple projects. But for now, I'm going to use the one-time command. We're going to run this, and we're going to fast API basic. All right, so now we have a choice of which AI assistant to use. I'm using Copilot, so we'll use that one. And then I am on a Windows machine, so I'm going to use PowerShell. And it's done a few things here. Essentially, what it's done is brought down a lot of prompts, like pre-built templates and prompts that have been developed to assist Copilot in developing an application. So very cool. Let's go ahead and go to project directory and launch code, VS Code. All right, great. So like I said, it comes with all these prompts. And then the specify folder, which has memory, some scripts that'll help you set up your project and templates. So we'll take a look at that. And that's all we have in here. So let's open up our chat. And we'll go ahead and open up a terminal. And let's go back to the documentation. I'll show you kind of how to walk through this. So you want to start out with the Constitution. And you're just going to say high level, put some guiding principles around your project. So create principles focused on code quality. I mean, that's pretty good actually. Let's try this. If I paste it. Create principles focused on code quality, testing standards, user experience, consistency, and performance requirements for an API server. We'll just add that. I'm using Claude Haiku 4.5. Works pretty good. And you can kind of see, what it's doing. It's reading the Constitution prompts, reading the spec, the memory. So my understanding is, this memory is what it's going to use throughout the project to understand the guiding principles. So it's generating these, very high level best practice kind of standards for the Constitution, what I would call guiding principles. Every API endpoint service and module must maintain high code quality standards. Okay. Code quality is non-negotiable and verified at pull request review. Yes. Very good. All code must pass linting checks. Sure. Complexity, cyclomatic. Complexity must be less than 5 per function. Refactor beyond. I'm not familiar with cyclomatic complexity, but that sounds good. Type hints must be used on all function signatures and class attributes. I love some TypeScript. So, just some requirements, testing standards that are non-negotiable in all caps. Very serious. User experience consistency, performance requirements, quality standards, review and deployment process. Then we have some processes on how to amend and be compliant. Yeah, recreating it. One thing I've noticed about Claude is it's not exceptionally fast, but it's thorough. All right, so while that's doing that, I'm going to prepare my specify command. So the specify command is used to describe what you want to build. Focus on the what and why, but we're not going to talk about our tech stack yet. Okay. So the what, we're trying to build a fast API server. The why is we want to expose API endpoints for the consumption of some type of data, which we'll make up. What is this? Okay, so the agent wants to run this in the command in the terminal. Get content. So it wants to read the Constitution in order to remove the extra markdowns. Okay. Backticks are still there. I might have to delete these for them. Great. Um, the problem with these backticks, the thing is you can just delete things. Um, in the suggested code. I don't think it likes the backticks. Let's do this, and we'll just keep it. Keep it. It updated the plan template. Oh, it changed all of these. The spec template, task template. Still have markdowns. I fixed it. Okay, I'm done playing with the markdown. Let's just check. Do these other files have this markdown? Or the backticks? I think it's okay if, if it can't read this because of the backticks, maybe it's a problem, but I think it's fine. So let's look at the specify. Oh, slash spec kit specify. This is building the spec. So let's give it some what and why. Um, so we're building a FastAPI server with 2 endpoints, a get and a post for a sample data. Let's do something creative. Fast API server with 2 endpoints, a get and a post for sample music tabs. Okay, that's pretty much the what and why. And let's go. I'll follow the spec kit specify prompt. So it wants to do a get. I haven't actually done a get init on this, so that's not going to work. Let's see if we have Git. Yeah, okay. So let's see what is it trying to do? Okay. Local branches, Git branch. It did not try to do this previously. This may be a new feature. It's basically trying to match up the spec kit feature with my GitHub branches. I'm gonna read this because this is new. Now let me run the create new feature script to generate the branch. So it's gonna create a Git branch, I believe. Based on the feature description, we're building a FastAPI. Okay. And then they have fixed this. That's cool. So they're gonna name the branch Music Tabs API. I forgot I was using PowerShell. That's concerning. So yeah, you see under specs here, it's created a branch, and it switched me to that branch in GitHub. That's cool. So I'm no longer on the master. I'm on this branch, and whenever I'm done, I can do a PR into the master. And it's building my spec. So the spec has feature specification, got my description in there, and now it's building some user stories. Retrieve all music tabs. A user wants to retrieve all available music tabs from the server in a single request. This is the foundational read, so that's a get all. That's good. So it's created, suggested some payload structure, signature, acceptance criteria, retrieve a single. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking for there. User story 3, create new music tab. So that's my post. I'm gonna post to the same endpoints. I think this edge cases is cool. It it gives you a good exercise of what are the things that could go wrong. it's just a good mental exercise of, thinking through what happens when a client requests a tab with an extremely large ID number, why that would happen, but that's a it's an interesting, mental challenge to think through these things and just say, okay, could this happen? How does the system handle concurrent post requests, creating tabs simultaneously? Definitely need to handle that. What happens if a post request contains extra fields not in the schema? Needs to fail. Um, how does the system behave if all tabs are deleted and then a new tab is created? So how are we gonna like increment the tab ID? I think is what it's getting at. Okay, status ready for planning. Okay, so the next step, you'll see we created the constitution, created the spec using specify. Now it's saying go to the plan. This is where you provide some technical details. Images. So what database? What's your tech stack? We'll accept all this. This looks pretty good. Um, so we've got measurable outcomes, all good stuff. And you know, for your own project, your real project, I would definitely recommend reading through all of this. It takes a while, but if you think about it, I mean, just this being generated, just saved. It just saved you probably, 4 to 8 hours, maybe a whole day of trying to think through all of these details. You might think, oh, it's just a get and a post, but you know, if you were to actually sit down and think through all of the edge cases and functional requirements and measurable outcomes and assumptions, acceptance criteria, and just document all of that stuff, you're talking about um, almost a whole day, depending on how often you do that. So we'll keep that and we'll move on to the plan. So spec kit plan, and this is a Python fast API server. We're not going to connect to any database as of yet. Let's store the tabs in JSON files. So there's some libraries out there that you can fake connecting to a database, and those are all nice. But let's do this for now. Let's store the tabs in JSON files. So that's kind of our entire tech stack. Can't think of anything else. Let's go. Okay. Let me start by running the setup script and then building out the plan. So it's going to use the specify scripts setup plan. Okay. Good. All right. So it grabs the plan template. Right. puts it over here in our branch, and now it's creating a plan. So this should give us essentially a checklist. Models tab. This is tab service. This this service is what's gonna save our JSON files, I'm guessing. And then we have a persistent JSON file. This is basically our database. And then our endpoints is we basically have a tabs endpoint that's going to have 3 different routes. Test driven development. I like it. I want to see, how the tests come through for this, just off the shelf with no prompting on what libraries to use. Database integration deferred to phase 2. Pedantic models. Great. Separation of concerns. Good practice. In-memory cache. I like it. Very good. I should have thought of what version of Python I'm using. That might have helped. All right, I've completed the implementation planning phase with all the required design artifacts. Language, we're using 3.13. FastAPI, Uvicorn, we'll use to run the server. Pedantic models, PyTest, good. Coverage, JSON files, all right. And it's telling me what is generated here. Here's my phase 1 deliverables. Constitution, compliance, project structure. I'm good with this. API contracts defined. Good. Ready to proceed with tasks to generate detailed implementation tasks. All right. So let's keep all this. It it created this quick start, research, contracts, and checklists. Keep it. Okay, so we have a plan. It's a good plan. I like this design rationale. Kind of explains like why not have multiple services? Well, it's just three endpoints. Whether you agree or not, at least it explains its rationale. All right. I like this. It didn't originally do this, like give you the next step. That's cool. So, spec kit tasks. So, you don't pass it any arguments. You just run this and it builds your tasks. Um, I want to specify we're using 3.13 and we're going to use an environment, like a virtual environment. Let me try this. Spec kit, clarify. Asking clarification questions. Let's go with A. Concurrent tab creation, ID safety. The spec identifies and said, how does the system handle concurrent post requests creating tabs? Okay, this came up earlier. I wasn't expecting it to ask me this now, but we can answer it. So use a lock-based approach. Simple to implement. So generally in a production environment with the database, this we would use um, like an asynchronous type connection to the database, and this would not be an issue. So this is an example. Like you can ask questions here, which is a really great part of, the Copilot experience. All right. And when I'm communicating with Copilot, I'm really talking to it just like I would be talking to another architect. And it agrees with me. Yeah, some models you have to be aware that they agree with you too much. They're kind of trained to be more compliant, and some models will be very opinionated and they'll fight you and say, "No, I really think we should do it this way." So, definitely play around with different models and see which ones you like the most. Okay. So, yeah, see, it's changing the spec, adding in clarifications. So, the way it adds the clarifications is with a Q&A. So, Python's version specification, Python 3.13. And then uh, we'll have a separate JSON file per tab. Part of me thinks it might have been easier just to connect to a database. Just stand up a Docker MySQL and create that connection. Okay, it looks like it's summarizing there. I'm gonna pause and then come back.